20 wins for the first time in 5 years, 11 conference wins for the first time in a decade. Who are you and what have you done with my Syracuse men's basketball team? Wait, you only beat Louisville by 6 on the road, 82-76? Yep, that's the team I know. Cardiac Cuse, squeaking it out when it matters most, when the Orange need to get on the bubble. Red Autry's team is cooking. 4 wins in a row and 4th best in the ACC with a game to go in the regular season. I'll break it down with Gino Antimarino and AJ Myers right now on Orange Press Pass. Thanks so much for joining us. A midnight edition of Orange Press Pass. Ian Nicholas alongside AJ Myers and Gino Antimarino after an 82-76 Syracuse men's basketball win on the road against the mighty 8-21 Cardinals of Louisville. AJ, I'll start with you. A win is a win, but what's your first thought?
Well, it's a deep breath and kind of scared. I mean, Gino, they barely hung out this game. It got so close. It was a 4-point game with about 40 seconds left in this game. With 10 minutes left in the second half, you thought Syracuse was cruising to a victory, but around the 7-minute mark, Chris Bell hit a 3, and that seemed to be the dagger. But then SU committed a lot of tacky fouls. Louisville got to the line, and the second chance points. Louisville had 10 second chance points opportunities today. They just fed Louisville the ball, essentially, and allowed them to creep back in this game and almost win the game.
AJ, you talked about just the woes in that second half. I mean, Syracuse, this has not been just an all-of-a-sudden thing. You look at the last couple games, blowing a 29-point lead to Notre Dame, almost blowing a 29-point lead, and then over a 20-point lead again to Virginia Tech, and then in today's contest as well, a double-digit lead that you almost blow in the second half. It's just too many things where Syracuse they have to finish games if they want to compete, whether it's in the ACC tournament or, if we look beyond that, in the NCAA tournament.
Okay, well, we'll talk about ACC tournament and NCAA tournament outlook a little bit later in the show. But Syracuse did end up finishing this game, albeit in a close one, at the KFC Yum Center against Louisville. Let's see how it all shook up in Syracuse's second-to-last road test of the regular season. Started off with the hometown kid, Caleb Glenn, making Louisville proud. He had 15 points on the night, and he was getting it done down low with an and one. But Syracuse turning defense into offense early. Justin Taylor the steal, Chris Bell the windmill jam. The theatrics were on full display, AJ.
Yeah, it was a highlight show in the first half for SU. A lot of energy plays, getting in transition, and how about that dunk from Copeland?
Guy looks like he could be playing on the Harlem Globetrotters. And I mean that as a compliment, a high flyer. But you can't leave all the shooters open. Trey White cans a 3. Louisville pulls within 3, but Malik Brown and the starters got it done. All 5 starters in double digits. Malik Brown doing what he does off the pick and roll. Moments before the first half's about to end, Judah Mintz says the standings in the ACC and says, I'm one of the best players in the ACC. Don't let me loose in transition. Orange up 11 at the break. J.J. Starling, he's been one of the better guards in the ACC over the back half of the year. He gets the pin block on one end. Justin Taylor's flying all over the court, and Starling makes the 3 on the other end. SU up 14 in the second half. Not all Syracuse. I told you, Caleb Glenn showing out in front of the scarce isn't a word, sparse is KFC Yum Center crowd, but Syracuse just continues to roll, and Judah Mintz finding Gino, who else but Justin Taylor?
Yeah, Justin Taylor might have struggled in the beginning parts of this season, but he's really starting to find his groove towards the latter parts.
Yeah, he made 4 of 6 free throws to close this game out. It ended up being a close game, 82-76 the final score. Louisville pulled it within 4, but AJ, what was the main reason for why SU pulled it out?
Well, I think you got to look at Chris Bell. 23 points. Look how efficient he was. 6 of 9 from the field and chipping in on the rebounds. Something we really haven't always seen from Chris Bell this year, Gino.
Yeah, Chris Bell and Judah Mintz both having simultaneous good games. That's also something that we haven't really seen so far this season. Both players really getting it done on the score sheet.
Syracuse, it's not pretty, but they get it done. And somebody who's always getting it done for us wherever he's covering anything is Chile Adele, who is in the Bluegrass State. Chile, another ugly win for the Orange. 4 straight wins, and all of them have seen Syracuse have a big first half lead and have it dwindle in the second half. But how are they finding ways to win?
Hey, Ian, I think it's interesting hearing what Adrian Autry had to say after the game when he talks about how this team grinded this out. He thought that, again, those previous matchups that we've been talking about, right, where SU gets a big lead in the first half, they squander it away in the second half, and they have to grapple to try and fight and keep on to the lead. That's prepared them this time around, and he lauded his team for those efforts over the past few weeks and tonight as well. Keep on scratching forward. He talked about the offensive rebounds and the defensive rebounds too, crashing the boards. That's something he thought his team failed in last time these two played each other back on February 7th in the Dome. Even though SU only had 2 offensive rebounds, they crashed the board 29 times on defense compared to 25 defensive rebounds for Louisville. So again, you talk about this idea of the team clawing back when it needs to, finding the groove in the waning moments of the game, but also doing the little things right, like crashing the boards. That's some of the things that Autry honed in on after the game.
Chile, AJ here. You mentioned how SU was able to close out this game even through the punches, but how was Louisville able to get back into the game when it seemed like SU had an easy victory?
AJ, I think it's a plethora of things, right? I think one of the most interesting things, first of all, you talk about the fatigue that's potentially out there. You talk about Malik Brown. You talk about Chris Bell, both playing every single second in this game. You kind of saw that coming, but when you look at the box score after the game, you're a little bit shocked when you see that in number form. But listen, you talk about the short bench. 7 players played tonight. You talk about missed free throws. That was the biggest thing. My photographer, Sam Corcoran, and I, and everybody from the Daily Orange to Syracuse.com, everybody was talking about it. 25 free throws made out of 39 attempted. That's 14 missed. Adrian Autry kind of shook it off. He said, you just have to keep on checking on your mentals and making sure you're shooting your shots, shooting your free throws after the game. But at the same time, that could also be a very alarming thing for this team. And again, we talk about the foul trouble, right? Talk about Quadir Copeland fouling out. That was big. We talk about J.J. Starling early in the first half with those 2 fouls, which forced Quadir Copeland to enter the game maybe earlier than Adrian Autry had planned. And then also we talk about Judah's technical. We talked to Judah after the game about that technical. Now, you see, he kind of grabbed the ball after the ref tried to grab the ball from him after he didn't get the foul call he wanted. Judah took full responsibility for that after the game. He said it was kind of like a gut reaction. He thought it was almost like a player coming at it, which forced that reaction. But no, it was the ref. It was the right call in the end. But again, it's something he took 100% responsibility for. But a little bit of those mental lapses are what really caused this game to be closer than it probably should have been.
Chile, good to see you. Gino here. Louisville is known for its guard play. How did Syracuse do such a good job of shutting down their big players like a Sky Clark, who just had 7 points today?
Hey, Gino, it's amazing, and it's multifaceted, right? We talk about a player like Quadir Copeland, who said it was simple defense after this game. How do you mess them up? How do you find a way to make their shooters, their guards, get off their game? Adrian Autry talked about the zone. They really mixed through the 2-3 zone compared to the man defense and alternated through that at different points during the game. But Autry said that the version of zone they played tonight was a lot sharper than the one they played back on February 7th at the JMA Wireless Dome against Louisville. Another thing, Chris Bell, I think, gave the most interesting answer. Talked about ball screen motions, and he talked about how they like to run those against a team like Louisville. They talked about it over the course of practice this week, and they really thought tonight, Chris Bell really thought tonight, that it threw their guards like Sky Clark off the game.
Well, Chris Bell was on his game. He might be a candidate for Orange Press Pass Player of the Game. But for our Reporter of the Game, that's going to go to Chile Adele. Chile, safe travels, enjoy Louisville, and thanks so much. We've got a little more for you. On the other side, we're talking Syracuse backcourt with Quadir Copeland and Judah Mintz, the highs and lows of their performances, and also those blown leads. Doesn't matter that much for Syracuse. That and so much more when we come back. Welcome back to Orange Press Pass in the early hours of Sunday morning. Is that where we're at now? Ian Nicholas alongside AJ Myers and Gino Antimarino. Syracuse takes down Louisville on the road 82-76. And a big reason why the Orange have not only won this game, but now won 4 in a row, AJ, is Judah Mintz. Yes, he was always putting up good offensive numbers, but another 20-point game tonight. It looks like he's starting to really do it efficiently.
Yeah, you mentioned the 20-point games. Last 4 games, he's had 20 or more points. All of those games have been victories for Syracuse. You can say he's playing hero ball. You can say he's, taking bad shots, or it's all about him. But he's making the right shots. He's driving to the cup when he needs to. It's smart plays, Gino, that I think is why SU is maybe playing their best basketball towards the end of the season. Today, he only took 1 3 and he made it. I think in the past, maybe we've seen Mintz take way too many threes where that percentage completely gets, skewed to a bad number for Mintz. But it's been smart basketball for Mintz. And yes, he had 5 turnovers today, but I think that's another number that he's kept down in these last few games.
AJ, you touched on it. Judah Mintz maybe gets caught for a little bit of hero ball time here and time again, but I think he's done a really good job of, like you said, playing smart basketball, especially in that game against Virginia Tech. He completely took over and did what he was supposed to do, and that was win the game for Syracuse. And when you have a guy like that, you're going to win a lot more games when you can put that trust in your top player. And also, you look at doing it as a facilitator. 11 assists in his last 2 games. He's getting it done. He's putting balls in the basket. He's getting assists. He's doing it all. Judah Mintz has looked really good.
Yeah, and look at those numbers. He's almost averaging above his averages in essentially everything. And look at the threes. Not a great 3-point percentage. Tonight he only takes 1 and he knocks it down. That's the kind of smart, fundamental basketball we need to see from Judah Mintz.
Judah Mintz is giving you 20-plus points, and he's doing it on 15 or less shots. That seemed like a winning formula, and anybody who thought he wasn't the best player on this team on Twitter should probably just stay on Twitter. Somebody who's making highlight reels across every single form of social media, Gino, Quadir Copeland. He did some insane stuff tonight, but then he also managed to foul out in 11 minutes. Where do you stand on him?
You see, Copeland is a wild card to me because I really like him. I think he's a great player. He's one of the best players to watch, in my opinion, just because he brings this different dimension to his game where it's fun almost. And he's done a really good job of stepping up when other guys kind of fall down. He had 25 points against NC State. He's averaging a little bit over 9 off the bench. He's one of those guys, he's like the Energizer Bunny. You put him in off the bench, he's going to get you those points and he's going to get to the line. He's done a really good job of instilling that energy into Syracuse's offense.
I agree with you, Gino. He's the 6th man. He can hit a buzzer beater. He can have a 25-point game. But he can also have these kind of games. And I feel like maybe in previous games, we've seen it a little bit too much. Look at those points. 25 points, and then you have 7 points, and then you go back to 12, and then it's 7 points tonight. But really, what's most glaring, and Ian alluded to it, 11 minutes, and then you foul out. That, for me, is just him just kind of almost just running around on the court, trying to make something happen. But it's the opposite of Mintz. He's not playing that smart, fundamental basketball. He's really just trying to make some highlight plays, which he can do, and it's great, but I don't know if it's the winning formula for the Orange.
I think Gino, I don't know what you have to say, but I think the great part about his game is it is unpredictable, but he does affect the game in a lot of different ways.
Yes, for sure. And what I was going to bounce off of you, AJ, is yes, Copeland, maybe there's not so much shooting the ball efficiently, but I think at the end of the day, he's done a good job of he's doing what Syracuse needs him to do, and he's not going to go out there and drop 20 points every single night, but he's going to look at those last few games. He's done a good job of just getting on the score sheet and helping Syracuse win games.
Yeah, we'll talk about it a little later. It's a team that doesn't have much depth. Copeland definitely does provide some depth.
They are missing a lot of key players. People forget Benny Williams, Naheem McLeod, Chant Westry. They're not playing. Some of them aren't even on the team, and Quadir Copeland is filling a lot of gaps. But the team doesn't have a lot of depth, and they're kind of running out of gas, AJ, at the end of games. They were up 19 tonight, and they only end up winning by 6.
Yeah, and this is not the first time we've seen the second halves for Syracuse look like they're almost not even, playing the same game they played in the first half. And really, I think I'm pinpointing this to just that maybe that they're tiring out. They don't have as much steam. But really, these last 5 games for Syracuse, they've lost the second half each time. That's a glaring issue. And if they want to beat Clemson, they got to win both halves.
AJ, we touched on it earlier. We talked about the 29-point blown lead to Notre Dame, the over 20-point blown lead to Virginia Tech. It happens again today. You could talk about maybe these players are a little bit fatigued, but I think it comes down to the defense. You look at the amount of points that these opponents have been scoring in Syracuse in that second half. They've done a really good job of shooting more efficiently and getting more points on their possessions, and that's going to really hurt Syracuse. They're continuing to score in that second half for Syracuse, but the defensive end is where it's lacking.
Yeah, and just look at those minuses. I make the point that Syracuse is lucky to win those games where they are just minus in the second half. Basketball's a two-half sport. You've got to play both halves as effectively as you played the first one. And Syracuse can start games really well. They started today really well with all those flashy dunks. The second half, though, it's like they're almost tired, and that's where I think it leans into they don't have many options off the bench.
I understand that we want to get nitpicky, but still, they're playing two halves of a game and it ends up being a whole, and they've got 4 straight wins where they made enough plays at the end of the game to win. And the player who's made, especially since the month of February, really since he broke out against Louisville in the Dome with 30 points and 8 threes, that winning player has been Chris Bell. And tonight, he was a winning player again. That's why he is our Orange Press Pass. It's a lot of alliteration. Orange Press Pass, player of the game. 23 points. He did it on single-digit shots, and he did it on shots like this. Not just corner specialist Chris Bell. He was doing it on pull-ups, and he was doing it on the boards. 7 rebounds for Chris Bell. He was doing it on defense. 3 blocks for Chris Bell. I keep saying his name because this is not the Chris Bell that we're used to seeing. But tonight, you got the full package with the former 4-star. And that's why, even though Judah Mintz was really good, over 20 points, one of those 5 assists going to Chris Bell there on the 3. That's why he is our player of the game. When we come back, we are playing no games. We are going to school. We are going to my classroom. We're giving out grades. Syracuse, where do they stand with just a game to go in their regular season? You'll find out on Orange Press Pass.
Jason, let's go see your room.
What do you think? We kept it a little spare, so you can decorate it how you like.
Dinner! Go?
Excellent. Cyprus. Yeah, I saw you guys out there. We're the family.
Yeah!
Oh, I thought you were on my team.
I see you mobbing over her. Let's go. Let's mob. Let's crawl. Let's crawl. Let's crawl. Hey, yo, we mobbing. Come on, girl. Let's crawl. Hey, yo, let's crawl. Hey, yo, let's crawl. Hey, let's crawl. Hey, yo, let's crawl.
Welcome back to Orange Press Pass. Said it right this time. Ian Nicholas alongside AJ Myers and Gino Antimarino. I'm the host, they're the analysts, but for this part of the show, they're the students, and I am, thanks to some glasses that are giving me double vision and this pen, which definitely won't stay in my ear, the professor of my classroom. There's Coach Autry, he is tenured. There's Chris Bell, we have taught him very well as he is our Orange Press Pass player of the game. And there's me, and you know, I look youthful because I haven't been destroyed by the wear and tear of teaching. But you know who's been killed by the wear and tear of playing? All of these starters, AJ. Only, 5 or 6 rotation players for Syracuse at this point? 2 players tonight who played 40 minutes. Is this a pass or a fail for how deep this team is?
Oh, it's got to be a fail, Ian. I mean, this team just doesn't have any depth whatsoever, and I think that's the biggest problem to why this team struggles in the second half. The players are tired. That halftime break, Gino, isn't enough. They get worn out, they get tired. But also, I want to look at Coach Autry. He's on this screen here. Why isn't he trusting Peter Carey, Kyle Cuff? We see Cuff get some minutes, and he'll do good. He'll get, 7, 10 points, be a spark off the bench. And even Peter Carey, I know he dealt with the concussion, but he's healthy now. Autry, if I'm asking you the question, you don't have many guys off the bench. Why not trust them for just a few minutes?
Well, I'll tell you why you can't trust them, AJ. Kyle Cuff and Peter Carey have only had over 40 points since the new year. And that's exactly why you can't trust these guys. Maybe they get it done on the defense. Kyle Cuff is that's where he plays his bread and butter. But at the end of the day, I just don't think you can trust those guys to get it done on the offensive side.
Yeah, I mean, you look at these 3 players right here, they're starters. Maybe some, you look at Malik Brown, you thought he would be a bench guy tonight. I still think 10 points for him and 10 rebounds is an excellent line.
Absolutely.
Justin Taylor, it's 11 points tonight, but it could be 1 point the next night.
Who knows? It's a mixed bag. Not all students are A students. It's pretty obvious that's a failing grade, though. There's no spin in that paper. That's an F because you got Kyle Cuff on this team. He didn't play. I think that shows you how thin this team is. But despite this team being pretty thin, they still got a chance to finish in the top 25 of the graduating class. In fact, if the semester ended today, they would be Gino. They would be 4th, which is right on that cutoff. So by the end of a regular season, at the start of the ACC tournament, are they finishing in the top 25 of the class? And are they getting that double bye?
I don't know, Ian. I really don't know. It's going to come down to their last game against Clemson. And as we know, the Tigers played really well against the Syracuse team. We saw Joe Girard absolutely light it up in front of a packed dome crowd. They're going back to Little John Stadium. That could be a tough environment for Syracuse to get it done in. I know Clemson's hungry. I don't know if Syracuse is going to get it done. I would like to think so, AJ.
I think they're just going to pass. I think we see the game of the year for Syracuse. Their best performance of the year on Tuesday in Clemson. They get a victory. This team gets a double bye. I can't believe I'm saying it, but I think they pass, and I think that double bye helps them tremendously because then they can rest. That lack of depth doesn't really show in the ACC tournament, and then a few things happen, and who knows, Ian, maybe it's a deep run for the Orange.
I don't know. You guys are harsh. My simple question was if they finish top 25 in the class. Gino says fail out. Come on, man. That's unbelievable out of you.
They might finish outside the top 25%. That's what I'm saying.
So they're not going to fail out of school?
Like a C or a D.
Yeah.
Hey, C's. Got the green
Yeah, that's exactly right.
That's what's been getting me through school. But you know what? Who cares about school? I care a little more about the extracurriculars. I'll take the glasses off. I'm a fun professor.
He is fun.
Okay.
Right? I'm a cool guy. I'm not a nerd. I went to prom. But is Syracuse going to go to prom, AJ? Are they going to go dancing in that NCAA tournament? They're almost on the bubble right now.
They're not just going to go to prom, Ian. They're going to be the prom king. They're going to the dance.
Like you were, AJ.
Well, I don't, we don't have to get into it. But, yes, Gino, I think this team does go to the NCAA tournament. As shocked as I was that they're going to get a double bye in the ACC tournament, I know it's going to sound even more shocking that they're going to go to the big dance. But, yeah, I think this team, they're playing their best basketball at the end of the year. I know it's not pretty, especially in those second halves, but Judah Mintz is finding some of his best game. Justin Taylor's, starting to make some shots. He's starting to come out.
You just said how inconsistent he is.
Yes, but today was a good performance, and in the NCAA tournament, anything can happen. You just need one consistent game from Justin Taylor to get a victory, and that's why Syracuse, they're going to be prom kings.
You make a good point, AJ. You talk about the double bye and how much that would help this team with so much players playing, so much starters playing. I'm going to say that their date stands them up. I don't think Syracuse is going to the big dance. If anything, I think they're going to go to the NIT. I think possibly Judah Mintz sits this one out, says, listen, you guys got this from here. I got to worry about my next steps in my NBA pursuit. But I just don't see Syracuse making it to the NCAA tournament.
So is the NIT more like a formal, not the prom?
I guess that's like where you go, like if you're not going to the dance, you just go to like Tully's or something. Just gotta, get some chicken nuggets.
What is wrong with Tully's famous tender?
Nothing's wrong with Tully's. It's like, the second, if you're not going to prom, you go to Tully's. Yeah.
Oh, no.
Look, the NCAA tournament is the girl you're looking at in the rear view, and the NIT is the girl that you're with. And all I'm saying is it's going to be kind of tricky for Syracuse to get into March Madness. But look, AJ is optimistic, and there's a reason why he should be optimistic, because when we come back, we're going to look at how everything played out in the ACC today, and it was pretty much everything going Syracuse's way. Find out what we're talking about when we come back on Orange Press Pass.
1 in 3 adults has pre-diabetes. That means it could be you, your favorite brother, your other brother, you, your football buddy, your football buddy, you, your plumber,
Breathe right into your foot.
your plumber's masseuse,
Yes.
you, your dog walker, your cat jogger. With early diagnosis, prediabetes can be reversed. Take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Welcome back in the Orange Press Pass. Ian Nicholas joined alongside AJ Myers and Gino Antimarino, no longer the students, all back to equal playing field at the desk after an 82-76 win for Syracuse against Louisville. But Syracuse, they sit number 4 in the ACC right now. If the season ended today, the season doesn't end today. It ends in the middle of next week. But results that happen today around the conference are helping out the Orange. Duke does their thing. They take down Virginia. But AJ, when you look at some of these games, Notre Dame over Clemson, Virginia Tech over Wake Forest, the dominoes are falling Syracuse's direction.
Absolutely, and my eye goes right to that Clemson-Notre Dame game. Clemson, I mean, their confidence has got to be shot. They've been, in my opinion, really inconsistent all year. Syracuse, they got to look at that scoreline and say, we can go into Clemson and beat this team.
I look at the Georgia Tech game. I mean, this is a team that was kind of scuffling along the bottom of the ACC. They beat a Duke. They beat a North Carolina. I mean, who knows who's going to beat who in this ACC?
Scuffling at the bottom of the ACC were the Yellow Jackets, but they ended up being Syracuse in the Dome. That's just how it goes in the ACC, and this is where it currently goes. Gino, can you believe that we live in a world where the Orange were picked 10th in the preseason in this conference and are now in the top 4?
It seems like just yesterday after that Florida State loss, we were just like, where is this Syracuse team going to go? And now all of a sudden they get a double bye? Are you kidding me?
It's unbelievable. And a lot of people on Twitter are saying, we got to look at Coach Autry. And I agree. I think for him to put this team in a position where they can get a double bye is unbelievable. And it all comes down to this game against Clemson.
Senior night for Joe Girard, but in a Clemson uniform at Littlejohn Coliseum, a chance to get a double bye in the ACC tournament against a team currently projected to be a 5 seed in the NCAA tournament. Clemson-Syracuse on Tuesday night. We go live at 11 o'clock on Tuesday evening with Orange Press Pass. But to close up tonight's show, AJ, will do it just how we started it. What are your final thoughts on this Syracuse win over Louisville?
My final thoughts are, you get the win against Louisville. Wasn't pretty at the end. However, though, this is your chance for Syracuse. It's been an up and down year, but we've alluded to it. The dominoes have fallen your way. Can you maybe go dancing? You got to win games in the ACC tournament, but really your championship game for Syracuse, for Adrian Autry, is this game on Tuesday. You beat Clemson. I think this is the best opportunity Syracuse has had in the last 3 years to really make a legitimate push into the NCAA tournament.
AJ, you talked about it earlier, the importance of Justin Taylor, and now he's starting to really come around and find his niche with this Syracuse team. Everyone was questioning him and his importance with this Orange team. Can he shoot threes? Can he not? What is his purpose? Well, he's really starting to find his spot in the dunker spot and getting those cuts along the baseline and finishing strong. Justin Taylor today, 11 points, has really looked good for the Orange recently.
Wow, that hit deep. And it's like, What Was I Made For by Billie Eilish. You know, it's a song I love. I'm not going to start singing it, but I will be singing the praises of Gino Antimarino and AJ Myers. Ian Nicholas signing off. Syracuse beats Louisville. Enjoy your Sunday morning.